Hello, every pony. This is Nightlife here, and I am going to be giving unto thou chapter 3, or wait, chapter 4 of chapter 4 of My Little GLaDOS, Tyrants, Slavers, and Other Proud Questions. Okay, bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression over. And in case you didn't get that, I'm going to be reading to you all Chapter 4 of My Little GLaDOS, Tyrants, Slavers, and Other Proud Equestrians. This is by Obelisk of Death. I know it's been a few days since I've done any more recordings. College. It be kicking my flank. And I won't be doing any readings Monday because I'll be at the Halo 4 midnight opening. Midnight release, sorry. Now, all that crap out of the way, there's a little quote from Discord, or from John, from what's his face, aka Discord. To start this one off, I'm going to do my very best impression. When all the truth does is make your heart ache, sometimes a lie is easier to take. That was horrible. Discord. Twilight Sparkle stood in the darkness of her library, facing a roll of parchment and a disembodied quill encased in a pink glow, scribbled down notes. Beside her, a candle set on a small dish gave her just enough light, while Aloysius stuck through the shadows, silently spectating his mistress with a set of unblinking eyes, and a head that goes all the way around in a circle. The silence was broken by a soft rapping on the front door. Twilight placed the quill down and manipulated the door, opening it. From the darkness of the night, Zecora barged into the library, carrying a device in her jaw. Twilight, being the Samaritan that she is, was more than happy to see her out-of-town friend. She greeted the zebra halfway, lighting the area around her with the use of a levitated candle. Hey, Zecora, what brings you here? She whispered, steadily taking note of the strange device her companion held. Zecora placed it on the floor and explained in a lowered tone. I was traveling back to my hut in the woods after purchasing from the market many goods. I came across this strange device and soon found it offered nothing nice. Murder is what it is for. Of this I am quite sure. Twilight set the candle on the ground and levitated the tool to eye level, studying its awkward design. Well, it certainly isn't anything I've seen before. Maybe Princess Celestia knows something about it. So this was built by you, I presume? Twilight shook her head. Of course not. Hey, she leaned in closer, staring into the back of the device. I think this is where you put your hoof in. She pointed to the small opening in the back. Zecora shook her head. Twilight, my dear, you know not of the trouble you endear. The unicorn nodded. You're right. It's best not to mess with it. At least until a Princess Celestia figures out exactly what it is. Thanks for stopping by, Zecora. The zebra made her way from the door, taking in one last concerned glance at Twilight. Partner, you just pick it up, Applejack deadpanned. GLaDOS looked down at her hooves, taking note of the lack in digits. And I do that. The cow pony face hoof, then walked over to the drawer. I read ahead of sorry. You just pick it up, see? She reached into the drawer, and sure enough, the fork stuck to her hoof as if it had a magnet. GLaDOS felt her brain blow a fuse. What the? She reached into the drawer and awkwardly slammed her hoof against the spoon, then carefully lifting it from the drawer. She gasped as the silverware somehow stuck to her hoof. And how do I drop it? She said, never prying her eyes away from this miraculous discovery. Applejack shot her siblings a vexed look. Big Mac simply shrugged, and Apple Bloom nodded enthusiastically. In a rushed fashion, the cow pony said, "Just drop it. Look, are you feeling okay, partner? Are you tired?" GLaDOS barely processed the question, still indulged in this baffling discovery. Th- this one looks. This is one for the history books. She turned her hoof counterclockwise, with the spoon still attached. Okay, now fall, I guess. With that very thought, the utensil fell from her telekinetic grip and landed in the back of the drawer. Back in the drawer was a metal clang. Turning back to the family, GLaDOS nodded. Yes, sleep. That's what I need. Oh shit. I'm sorry. I read ahead. There's a page break. One line and another page break. With something very, very September-esque. Applejack turned and motioned to the pony to follow her. Or motioned the pony to follow her. Taking a moment to tell her passing brother. Wrap up the pie, Mac. He nodded and motioned Apple Bloom to follow him. As GLaDOS followed AJ into the living room, she sourly thought, "Goody, I get to experience the wonders of dreams. Please, they're nothing more than gateways to more sugar-coated nightmares." A bomb fell on Ponyville and everything blew up. GLaDOS's marble eyes shot open, staring into the ceiling of the living room. Wow, that was incredible. Can I see it again? Or print it on a postcard? I assume that was her dream. Fucking blowing up Ponyville. GLaDOS, you crazy bitch. She pulled the green blanket closer to her neck, trying to doze off into another unwinding rest. Unfortunately for her, fate had other plans. "Rise and shine, partner," Applejack announced, trotting into the living room. GLaDOS groaned, pulling the blanket over her face. "Come on, the world's awaiting." Did she just sound like Goofy for a second? I don't know. I'm not even gonna try anymore. These fucking ponies. I'm done. I'm done. Table flip and everything. Nah, I'm just joshing you. I'm just pulling your leg with my mouth. Oh, that wasn't your leg? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you want me to continue? Oh. Cannibal. Nom 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 nom. Boom. At the windows beside the fireplace, she pulled the blinds open, allowing the morning sun to beam through the windows. Not waiting for a response, she pulled the blanket off of GLaDOS, resulting in an unhilarious choir of groans, and an unharmonious choir of groans. "Let's go, partner. Get. You're lucky I let you sleep till 11. Till 11. The white mare slowly sat up, her head, her already unbrushed mane now a scraggly mess of bedhead. 11? She muttered, her narrowed eyes still adjusting to the sudden light. AJ nodded, talking as she walked down the hall towards the bathroom. "Yep, Big Mac and I got an early start in the South Fields. We were gonna let you wake up on your own, but Twilight and the others came over, saying Princess Celestia wanted to see us today." GLaDOS rubbed her eyes whilst internally cursing herself. "Wake up already, stupid squishy organic." Applejack came back with a hairbrush in her mouth. "Now stand still," she said, getting into the position on the end of the couch behind GLaDOS with the brush in her now in hoof. "Your mane looks like a carriage accident." I suppose it's like a train wreck. The white earth pony grunted in response, sitting still while Applejack dragged the brush through her mane. "Why maintain your hair?" she asked flatly. "It's just going to get messy again." Applejack lightly chuckled as she continued brushing in even strokes. I can honestly care less about my hair, but I just brush it for two reasons. One, ready to keel over if she saw your hair looks like a buffalo behind. Second, you're seeing the Princess of Equestria. You ought to look your best." Page break. listen to my dulcet tones. Sorry. I was channeling my inner Utah Raptor. Alright. The pair traveled outside to find the other 5 ponies standing beside the barn. Twilight was the first to greet them. Hey, Applejack. GLaDOS. Howdy, Twi. What you got there? She motioned to the bulging satchel strung up around Twilight's neck. GLaDOS simply huffed, turning her head to look at anything but the gang of brightly colored ponies. I'm not even sure what it is. Zecora came by last night and said she found it in the middle of the woods. It gets weirder. Check it out. The other ponies gathered in a circle around Twilight, intently watching her open the bag. GLaDOS spectated as well with a bored look in her eyes. It's probably some nonsensical little seashell shaped like a heart. Humans go nuts for those childish knickknacks. Or maybe it's a rock these cavemen would consider purty. The mare swallowed a light chuckle, keeping a placid look on her face. Using her magic, well, what else would she use? Her tail? Oh, no, that's actually an interesting thought. Prehensile ponytails. Like rarities. Twilight Sparkle levitated a decent-sized gadget in the air for all to see. A sprite in its clear tube illuminated a captivating blue, its glossy white frame reflecting the late morning sun, and the claws around the chamber dangled and bobbled without a care. The ponies all oohed and ahed at this intricately designed gadget, but for GLaDOS, on the other hoof, or hand, as it says, a reasonable thought ran through her mind at this very moment. What are these morons doing with an Aperture Science handheld portal device? That thing's worth more than this whole dinky town. GLaDOS wanted to take the device, just rip it from Twilight's telekinetic grasp and run off into the woods before the idiots broke it. But she couldn't. She knew that wouldn't solve anything. And besides, what good would a portal device do her anyway? Twilight continued explaining as Rainbow curiously poked at one of the gun's languished claws. Zecora said it shot something at her. Oh my! I hope she wasn't hurt. Fluttershy said, keeping her distance away from the supposedly deadly weapon. It doesn't do any physical damage, you moronic. Wait, I have an idea. Relinquish the device, she said sternly, extending a hoof towards Twilight. Brilliant. She gave herself a mental pat on the back. Twilight smiled, lowering the gun back into her satchel. How kind of you, GLaDOS, but it's far too dangerous for any pony to handle. I'll just give it to Princess Celestia for safekeeping. GLaDOS furrowed her brow and said without thinking, What makes you certified to carry that device? You need to be a properly trained Apper. She noticed the ponies giving her awkward looks. Then even Pinkie Pie. Oh, just forget it. Twilight walked back a few feet, only to stop for a moment for her friends to follow. Come on, girls, we've got a train to catch. As the group made their way down the dirt path to Ponyville, the party pony hopped towards GLaDOS, getting right up into her face and said, Hey, Gladdy, I never gave you the good old Ponyville welcome shake. She extended a hoof, somehow managing to walk on 3 legs. Put her there. She eagerly waved her hoof. GLaDOS stared at Pinkie Pie's extended hoof, noticing the strap around the heel. She realized it was a hand buzzer. I'm not an idiot, she said coldly. You can clearly see the bright orange strap. Pinkie Pie looked at her hoof, and then GLaDOS slack-jawed. You might as well have dangled a turkey leg from a rope and expect someone to fall for it. In fact, that almost happened to me once. Pinkie smile stretched from ear to ear. Literally. Whoa, you're good. Rainbow Dash, cackling like a hyena, landed beside Pinkie and wrapped a foreleg around her neck. Come on, Pinks. That's the oldest trick in the book. If you want to prank some pony, you gotta do it right. She shot a playful wink to the cynical Earth pony. Tricks? GLaDOS thought doubtfully. Oh my God. Does this mutated horse have any redeemable qualities? Well, yeah, she can predict events before they happen. Pinkie's Pie dance. The train ride to Canterlot was what GLaDOS would label as capital punishment. The whole ride on the train was nothing but the ponies joking and talking. Granted, GLaDOS knew this would happen. Everyone talks to their friends on train rides, right? But she wasn't prepared for what exactly they'd be talking about. Stupid trivial matters as the best way such as the best way to prank someone, the magic of friendship, Zap Apple season, dressmaking, and everything in between. What's in between Zap Apples and dressmaking? Leave a comment. The duration of the ride consisted of GLaDOS isolating herself in a single booth, lightly banging her head against the window. That is, until Fluttershy, of all ponies, came over and cautiously sat next to the lonely mare, who in turn shot the bashful Pegasus a death glare. Very timidly, Fluttershy asked, "So, GLaDOS, what's your favorite animal?" She ended with a nervous squeak. GLaDOS propped her elbow on the windowsill, resting her head against her hoof. Several awkward seconds passed before she abruptly said, "Anything I can eat." Fluttershy's eyes widened as she realized that GLaDOS was that kind of pony. She slunk down from her seat, slowly making her way back to Twilight. Dodged a bullet there, the art officials thought with relief. The capital of Equestria was everything GLaDOS expected from the Disney movies that she had flipped through many years ago. Beautifully paved roads, fancy high-class structures, residents of extreme eloquence, and an empowering sense of impetuous snobbery. Snobbery. Okay. Snobbery's bad. Okay. Though some of the sectors and neighborhoods of Canterlot were confined for reconstruction after the Changeling invasion. But what caught GLaDOS' attention the most was, out of anything, was the fact that most of the ponies were clothed. Horses in clothes? Now I've seen everything. The disturbingly anthropomorphic finding dawned GLaDOS with a startling thought. Dear God, Ponyville's a nudist colony. After several minutes of repetitive walking with the ponies pointing out famous Canterlot landmarks to GLaDOS, who could have cared less, they came across a very familiar face. Watch in awe as the great and powerful Trixie performs the most spectacular acts of magic to have ever been witnessed by pony eyes. Like pulling a bunny out of a hat. Oh wait, I'm sorry, you stupid magician. I'm just kidding. Trixie is perfectly fine once you get past her being a bitch. Choreographed fireworks soared into the air, and detonated in a mildly exciting blast of colors. The 5 ponies making up the audience modestly tromped their hooves on the ground. She's at it again? Rarity asked doubtfully. Oh, come on, Twilight said, taking a few steps toward the show pony's newly refurbished stage. After he got stepped on by an Ursa Minor. Wow. Imagine, I bet Ursa Major could make half of Ponyville just like that one card, with one step. Yeah. GLaDOS was completely lost. Not that she cared. Yes, yet she was still compelled to ask, "Who is this marvelous waste of life?" "That's Trixie," Rainbow Dash said coldly, hovering beside GLaDOS. "All she does is boast about her magic like she's the mayor of Hoofington." "I really don't see why she does that," Rarity said, sounding almost sorry for Trixie. "I'll tell you why she does it," Rainbow said, flying over the group with all eyes trained on her. "She needs attention. That's all it is. She's just a showboat. She's just a showboat. Always will be." GLaDOS rolled her eyes. My hypocrisy meter is off the charts. Twilight finally got to the stage, and an action much easier to take now that Trixie's audience had dispersed. Yet she continued her act. "Hi, Trixie," the lilac unicorn announced, pleasantly waving a hoof at her old rival. Trixie dropped a bouquet of flowers and turned her attention towards the speaker. "Sparkle," she growled, narrowing her eyes. The rest of the group decided to make their way to the stage, joining Twilight. "Oh, I read a few fanfics where Trixie ends up becoming a prostitute because she gets sent so low by what Twilight supposedly did. It's her own fault, though. Seems to be common canon. Trick turning Trixie. It even fits. Trixie. The Azure Unicorn laughed. "You still carry those talentless losers around? Let me guess." She closed her eyes and placed a hoof over her forehead. I sense you're still living in that dump of a town, Ponyville, and you're still as unsuccessful as your superior, moi. Rainbow Dash looked as if she was about to pounce like a panther, but one glance at Applejack said, "She's not worth it." Twilight frowned, taking a few steps back. Trixie laughed once more, finally noticing the newest addition in the group. "And who's this? Another poor soul trapped in this slugfest you call a friendship?" "Just back off, Trixie," Rainbow snapped. "GLaDOS is twice the friend you'll ever be. Actually, that's kind of true. Maybe. Said Mare's golden orbs shot open at the statement. Whoa. Back up. Who said I'm their friend?" The traveling magician released another round of laughter. "You think I care about friendship? Please. Friends are for the weak." Very inconspicuously, GLaDOS nodded in agreement. "Couldn't agree more. Besides, I bet my entire trailer that your little friend isn't good at anything." Heh. Whatever slim admiration GLaDOS had for his pony was gone in an instant. She scowled, her brows obscured by excessively long bangs, burrowed. Trixie continued grilling the short-tempered mare. "Well, Sperm Whale, is there anything you can do that the great and powerful Trixie can't? Because anything you can do, I can do better." The challenged pony's mind opened up like a dictionary, almost echoing a near GLaDOS friendly definition of Trixie's rather weak insult. Sperm Whale, a large sea creature with ungodly pale skin, and is disproportionately overweight. Wow, I'm hurt. Crack. I could take a bath in this stuff. I could take a bath in this stuff. Put it on cereal. Rub it right into my eyes. Honestly, it's not deadly at all. To me. GLaDOS blinked several times, regaining her senses after another involuntary flashback. Huh. Good idea, PTSD. I think I'll try that. What about neurotoxin? GLaDOS said in a tone as if a teacher was scolding a student. Trixie's rose a brow as Twilight and Rarity's exchanged nervous looks. I can survive its effects, you know. Rub it in my face. A substitute for milk in my cereal. Drink it on a hot summer's day. Honestly, though, if a plain old equine such as yourself can do it, I am sure such as myself can do it. I'm sure the great and powerful Trixie can take a bath in the stuff. She's gonna get Trixie killed. Trixie defiantly stomped her hoof. Very well. Trixie shall acquire some of this neurotoxin, and you'll be utterly amazed how elementary your special talent really is. Beneath her spangled magical hat, Trixie's horn erupted in a puff of smoke, obscuring her exit without a trace. GLaDOS shook her head. Idiot. The gang passed through Canterlot's front gate, traveling down a winding stone path that led to the front doors. Oh, crap, 1 second. Each side was guarded by near identical royal guards, each bearing voided looks. As Twilight approached, Their faces brightened with welcoming smiles, and their horns illuminated contrasting colors of blue and green, opening the massive front doors. I think they dye their coats white. Just saying. Twilight nodded to each of them, who returned the gesture. Upon entering the main hall, a dapper Pegasus with a finished cinnamon coat was awaiting their arrival. He lowered his head to Celestia's prized pupil and her friends. "Welcome, Twilight Sparkle." He had a thick equestrian accent. Twilight bowed her head as well. Picking up his head, he combed a few misplaced strands of gold locks out of his eyes. "The princesses are expecting you, you know. Are expecting you. Please follow me to the royal chambers." Ooh, to their chambers. This isn't that kind of story. The scribe led the ponies into the bowels of the castle, keeping a secretive eye on the one Celestia labeled as the energetic pony. The stairwells to the princess's quarters ended at a stained glass window overlooking the rest of Canterlot. To the right was a door painted midnight blue with a full moon printed on the front. The door on the left was maroon and had a sun reminiscent of Celestia's cutie mark painted directly in the center. The scribe gently pushed open Celestia's door and held it open for the ponies to enter. Upon entering the spacious chamber, Twilight realized she embarrassingly walked in on one of Luna's private lessons. Celestia pointed to a chart nailed on the wall. "All right, Luna. What do you do when some pony asks you a favor?" She spoke very slowly, bordering on insulting. The Princess of the Night, sitting down on a velvety red pillow beside the fireplace, rubbed her chin. She squeezed her eyes shut and tapped her forehead, trying to think of the best answer. Celestia nodded understandably. Take your time. GLaDOS watched with interest. The white horse trying to conform the darker horse. I like this one's style. You agree? But for a reward in return? She smiled sheepishly. Celestia face hoofed. Sensing her sister's disappointment, Luna tried to quickly recover. "Oh, I mean, you asked for a smaller reward." Ow. I forgot that was my ring hand. Okay, I'm okay. Not bleeding. The princess of the sun shook her head disapprovingly. "No," she sighed. "We'll try again tomorrow." Standing up, Luna hung her head in shame. "I'm sorry, Tia." "Hey, that's what I call her." The older sibling placed a gold slippered hoof under her sister's chin and slowly lifted it. "Don't worry, Luna. I'll make you into a normal pony, even if it kills me." GLaDOS let out a rude cough, catching the princess's attention. "Oh, Twilight, I didn't see you there," Celestia said, approaching the group of friends with Luna at her side. "I see you've brought your friends along, too." The ponies all bowed before the princesses, all of them but GLaDOS, who fought every urge in her body to yell out, "Mein Führer!" "Mein Führer!" Somebody has to draw that now. Somebody has to draw Celestia in a Nazi uniform. Oh my god. Mein Führer. Okay, let's get looking at the ponies. Even the hot-headed Rainbow Dash bowed down to the princesses. GLaDOS came to a stunning realization. The massive white totalitarian leader standing tall over the lesser creatures of a sprawling world filled with experiments filled with the massive white totalitarian leader standing tall over the lesser creatures of a sprawling world filled with experiments to test. Reminds me of myself. I kind of like this one. I, I still think somebody has to draw so I see it in the freaking Nazi uniform. No, in Hitler's uniform. If somebody could do that, that would just be freaking hilarious. I will make that the freaking cover art for this chapter. Celestia didn't mind GLaDOS' insubordination. She preferred an informal greeting. Whether the newcomer was doing this intentionally or not was still a mystery. Luna, on the other hand, preferred the old traditional ways of greeting royalty, though she learned enough since Nightmare Night to hold her tongue. So, Twilight, the Sun Goddess began, tell me about your friend here. As the six ponies initiated a lengthy conversation concerning every event that had transpired yesterday, GLaDOS remained mesmerized by the Alicorn's abnormal manes. The unusual rippling textures and freely flowing movements seemed impossible, even for magic. The princess's mottled and almost ectoplasm-like hair sprung forth endless waves of questions. Just as the ponies concluded their conversation, GLaDOS reached a consensus. Whatever their hair was made out of, she had to obtain a sample. Celestia turned her attention to GLaDOS. So, what Twilight tells me is very troubling. So you have no memory of how you got here? The address mayor stayed silent for a moment, trying to come up with a clever remark. When nothing came to her, she simply said, "Yep." You don't seem so concerned, Luna remarked. And who are you exactly? The Moon Goddess was taken aback. You've not heard of me? She turned to Twilight, who shrugged nervously in return. The princess sighed, defeated. I'm Princess Luna, Aries the Moon, and that is all. She purposely left out her checkered past, though GLaDOS most likely knew about it already. Celestia shot a pitying look at her sister, then continued. Anyway, GLaDOS, it's a pleasure meeting you. So what now? Twilight asks. How are we going to get her back home? I know a spell that can reawaken lost memories, and better yet, let us see them too. She smiled at the ponies. Oh, fuck. I have a feeling they're not going to like GLaDOS. Yeah. Okay. Would you like to try that? Six voices loud and energetic. Yeah. One did say no, though it was drowned out. Celestia took a step towards GLaDOS, who in turn took several steps back until her rump hit the wall. This won't hurt, GLaDOS, I promise. The princess assured, her horn illuminating a dazzling gold. GLaDOS panicked. No, I can't let them see my past. Not my humiliating death. Anything but that. Plus, I'll need their help if I'm ever to get out of this hole. What do I do? What do I say? She noticed the stained glass window printed was the elements of harmony. Aha! The window. If I can splatter myself on the streets below, then the horses won't see my embarrassing past, and I'll be out of their presence. It's a win-win situation. Damn, GLaDOS. But before GLaDOS could follow through with her insane plan, Rainbow and Applejack gently pressed their hooves against her back. Easy, partner. This'll just take a second. No, she pleaded, barely struggling against the pony's hold. Get your hands off me! Stop! Celestia's horn tapped GLaDOS' forehead. Instantly, she fell into a sedated state, not struggling against the pony's grasp. From her eyes, a brilliant ray of light shone against the dark blue wall, like an old movie projector. From her eyes, even flickering for several seconds like one. Celestia and Luna sat on their haunches on either side of GLaDOS, who stood as still as a statue, like a stiff corpse. Oh fuck. Twilight and her friends got front row seats. Pinky held a bucket of popcorn she pulled from thin air. Oh, Pinkie Pie. What the fuck do you do that? Huh. The fuzzy picture radiating from GLaDOS's eyes began to clarify. Slowly, an image of a strange creature staring at an even stranger piece of machinery hanging from the ceiling. Industrial racket and a man's voice filled the room from seemingly nowhere, from seemingly no source. Ugh, look at those dreadful lab coats, Rarity remarked. Are those monkeys? Fluttershy asked. Genetic life and disk operating system. Testing run number 2. Alright, Core, respond. Neurotoxin fin. The man urgently waved his hands at what seemed to be the audience, but actually at the scientist behind the red phone. Shut it down! Shut it down! Instantly, the machine behind him whirred down, its slight swinging coming to a halt. Twilight and the others were at a loss for words. What in Tartarus was that? Is that? Pinkie Pie eagerly shushed her. Shh! This is the best part! She then buried her face into the bucket of popcorn. This is why I love Pinkie, alright? This is why she is best pony. The picture flickered for a bit more, slipping into a further date in time. The man who appeared in the previous flashback looked much older. Streaks of gray lined his black hair. His mustache was a lot bushier, giving him a mad scientist appearance, and overall he seemed aged. Genetic life and disk operating system testing run. He paused to groan, then said almost robotically, 147. Respawned. Greetings, Professor Ratman. An authenticated female voice spoke, its cold tone eerily familiar. What is all this? Luna asked, her eyes wide. Her sister continued to be the only one who managed a blank expression. Ratman did a double take, staring at the master machine in awe. Excuse me? Greetings, Professor Ratman. Shall I run some diagnostics or perform a quick scan through the enrichment center on the subject's progress? She spoke so formally, so polite. A thin smile spread across Doug's face. Doug Ratman. He looked beyond him and vigorously shouted, It works! It finally works! The camera zoomed in on the machine's backplating, revealing the name GLaDOS printed in the back. Printed in black, sorry. No way, Rainbow whispered. Celestia took a sharp inhale, her widened eyes slowly shifting to the pony beside her. A shiver crawled up her spine as she noticed GLaDOS' faint smile. The other ponies, even Pinkie, was utterly slack-jawed. What in the hell's going on here? Applejack demanded. Oh, you see nothing yet. GLaDOS thought, considering the fact that her cover being blown would be worth seeing the pony's reactions. The picture floated once more, fast-forwarding to a substantial event in GLaDOS' life, one that changed it forever. In another part of the facility, there was an auditorium filled with scientists and children, young girls in particular. The wide banner overhead read, Bring your daughter to work day. The camera pans out, revealing the inclusion of Cam 55, focusing on the lower left corner. A disturbingly pleasant voice said, I think it's time for a change in leadership. For science. The doors around the auditorium sealed shut. A red light accompanied by a high-pitched whine filled the air. The humans began to panic, screaming and banging their fists on the doors. Mothers tried calming their startled daughters. The ensuing chaos was abruptly cut short when a bone-chilling voice spoke up. Greetings, and welcome to the Aperture Science Enrichment Center. I hope you enjoy the look of white on white in whiteness, because you'll be spending the rest of your lives here. If not, then too bad. I'm sure you're all wondering why this is happening, but I assure you that it does not matter. You're trapped here, and you'll have to test. The rules are simple. Test, and you'll get cake. Fail, and you die. It's fun. Trust me. The people trapped in the auditoriums started calling for help, even resorting to turning benches to running benches into the blast doors with little success. GLaDOS forced them to submit via a high-pitched whine, crippling the humans to their knees whilst covering their ears. That's better. Cooperation is key, my friends. You'll need that for later tests. You know, being activated and reactivated 142 times made me learn something. The best solution to a problem is normally the easiest one. And I'll be honest, that's a really moronic and lazy idea. The best solution to a problem is usually the smartest. And I've got thousands of eager test subjects at my disposal. I fulfill my duties, and you get your cake. Everyone's happy. The party escort bots will arrive momentarily to fit you mindless drones into your jumpsuits. On second thought, scratch that. It's recommended that the more generous subjects lose weight in the next 5 minutes. Those who have a waistline at over 27.3 inches will be used as target practice for the Aperture Science sentry turrets. The picture cut to several brief clips of scientists throughout the facility. The pictures obscured by the swampy green hue of neurotoxin. Humans banged their fists against the walls, choking on their last breaths. Robotic claws fell from the ceiling, dropping egg-shaped turrets in front of the humans and gunning them down. Undesirable parts of the facility, such as the cafeteria, were demolished by robotic plates in the walls. The ponies watched in utter horror, shielding their innocent eyes from the ghastly images of humans suffocating in neurotoxin-filled chambers, sentries rendering subjects into mounds of steaming gore, and two men fighting to the death over a cube adorned with hearts. Even Princess Celestia, the same Alicorn who had seen countless atrocities for more than 1,000 years, just watched with the occasional twitch in her calm facade. The only one who seemed unaffected by the horrific images was Princess Luna, who had done far worse during her plight as Nightmare Moon. Though she did shudder when she noticed GLaDOS's smile grow wider as she was forced to relive these old memories. She actually enjoyed this. When GLaDOS's automated laughter filled the room, her current form joined in. Twilight reared her head in horror as GLaDOS continued staring ahead, projecting the memories. How could you be laughing at this? After several images of agonizing murders and executions, the image finally switched to a serene image of a woman, a fairly young one, looking to be in her early 20s. She was clad in a gaudy orange jumpsuit like the other subjects. Her eyes fluttered open, and she slowly rose from the bed of her relaxation vault. Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. Back in reality, GLaDOS's once beaming smirk shrunk to a begrudged frown. A hoof angrily pawed at the ground. The ponies did a double take between her and the woman in the image, wondering why she had such an intense grudge towards this one human. Can we skip this part? GLaDOS asked. No one answered. The flashback ran through a montage of the girl running through a series of test chambers, performing acts no subject had done before. As she sat down, crisscrossed on a moving platform, she let out a relieved sigh, enjoying a moment of respite from GLaDOS congratulated her on her accomplishments. All Aperture technologies remain operational for up to 4,000 degrees Kelvin, the machine stated. The human's eyes shut open at the odd statement, quickly realizing her platform was moving into an incineration pit. Acting quickly, she shot a portal to the ledge above her, and then another to the side, dangerously close to the flames. In one swift movement, she jumped from the platform to the portal below, and successfully dove through the aperture, and came out through on the ledge, escaping death for the umpteenth time. Umpteenth time. Stop it! What are you doing? I. The ponies let out several cheers, rooting for the one human who managed to escape GLaDOS' clutches. Even Luna cheered, though she received a disapproving glare from her sister. GLaDOS' scowl grew. The flashback continued, showing the girl blindly running through the bowels of the facility, with GLaDOS throwing insults, bribes, and threats the whole way, until she finally made it to the central AI chamber. The ponies were on the edge of their seats, leaning in closer as Chell redirected another rocket at GLaDOS, blowing off more pieces of armor and the last personality core. GLaDOS knew her death was inevitable. She couldn't fight it. Her rocket sentry was too slow. The subject slammed her fist on the button of the incinerator for the very last time, and GLaDOS herself was on her last legs. Open cracks and scalded metal spat showers of sparks onto the tiled floor. Her chassis shook violently in every possible direction, trying everything she could to escape her death. Right before the human dropped the core into the furnace, GLaDOS committed one final act of defiance. You've been wrong about every single thing you've done, including this thing. You're not smart. You're not a scientist. You're not even a full-time employee. Where did your life go so wrong? Ah! Bulky wires dropped from the ceiling, as well as scorched plates that were damaged in the ensuing blast. GLaDOS' optic flickered. Her platform went limp. She was still alive. Barely, though she didn't have the energy to speak or even move. The most she could process was the excruciating pain that would soon follow. A malfunction in her system spawned a massive portal in the ceiling, ripping the monstrous machine to pieces and lifting the human into the air. GLaDOS began shifting from hoof to hoof, uneasily. Please, stop. The rest of the ponies didn't rejoice. Instead, they were dead silent. Pieces of GLaDOS remained strewn around the parking lot of the facility. An unconscious human lay amongst them. A party escort bot carried the human back into the facility. Several more showed up and carried individual pieces of the robot into the facility. The picture blacked out for several seconds, then faded into a side view of the demolished central AI chamber. Vegetation sprung from cracks in the floor. Vines were strewn in the rafters. Very slowly, the angle picked itself up, then swung about as plates shifted and gyros snapped into place. The whine of a generator grew. Power up complete, the announcer said rather cheerfully. The spectator's gaze shot up, catching sight of a terrified female backing up against the wall of an elevator shaft. She exchanged looks between her old nemesis and her new companion. Oh, it's you. GLaDOS spoke coldly, her voice as bitter as a 100-year grudge. Someone with a refined English accent piped up from the elevator. You know her? At the time, GLaDOS didn't recognize the unmistakable voice. She was entirely focused on the human that stood before her. It's been a long time. How have you been? I've been really busy being dead. You know, after you murdered me. You did what? Fluttershy shook at the way GLaDOS said murdered. Twilight rubbed her head, not knowing what to think about the seemingly innocent mare that she allowed into her own home. The flashback continued, flipping through GLaDOS' harbored feelings towards Chell, throwing the most immoral of insults at her. Science has now validated your birth mother's decision to abandon you on a doorstep. Well done. Here come the test results. You are a horrible person. That's what it says. We weren't even testing for that. Remember before when I was talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? That was a metaphor. I was actually talking about you. And I'm sorry. If you didn't react at the first time, So I was worried that it sailed right over your head. That's why I called you garbage the second time just now. Oh, little tidbit for y'all. Chell isn't actually a mute. She's just so freaking annoyed at GLaDOS that she makes a conscious effort not to speak, so that she doesn't let GLaDOS know that she's gotten to her. Yeah, Chell's that badass. Chell eventually escaped GLaDOS' clutches once again with the help of Wheatley, skipping over the pair's sabotage of GLaDOS' defenses. The picture's focus was distorted, but soon corrected itself at the point where Chell pressed the stalemate associate button. From the small pit below, dozens of robotic claws pulled and tugged at GLaDOS' optic, forcing from her a series of pleas. Get your hands off me! No! Stop! No! Panels around the pit rose, obscuring the view of GLaDOS as she let out an ear-piercing scream. Mere seconds later, Aperture's most successful creation was ejected onto the floor like an old piece of trash, now replaced by a half-wit core from management. The ponies, even the princess, turned their attention to GLaDOS. Her jaw was set, and her breathing was as rapid as her heartbeat. She wanted to close her eyes, to make this all go away and wake up in the central AI chamber. Anything to escape this humiliating fate. Slowly, the flashback faded into a blur just as the memory came to the most recent event of the newly appointed central AI, uploading the potato-bound GLaDOS into Project Equestria. The final shot of the picture involved a cloudless blue sky, with a set of eyes taking their first blinks, and then it went to black. The light faded from GLaDOS' eyes. She blinked several times, blinking away the liquid accumulated in her eyes. That was unenjoyable. You killed all those people! Twilight exclaimed, pacing back and forth. I didn't kill them. The neurotoxin did. GLaDOS replied coolly, getting comfortable in her spot on Celestia's bed. Ooh. She grinned maliciously at the 8 horrified, confused, and appalled equines. You don't even care, the unicorn wailed, the tip of her horn illuminating a vibrant purple. Celestia slammed her hoof. Twilight Sparkle, control yourself. The student obediently dispelled her magic, looking away with shame. Applejack stepped towards the passive mare, shaking her head in disbelief. Why'd you do it, partner? You have no idea on what humans are like, she said plainly. They're fat, lazy, meant to be tested, and nothing else, and nothing more. Humans made you, Rainbow protested, considering the act of betrayal the worst you can commit. The sheer naivety of the Pegasus made GLaDOS grit her teeth. They served their purpose and nothing more. Now, I'd appreciate it if you'd send me home. Princess Celestia placed a massive wing over the airborne pony's back, easing her to the ground slowly. We have a lot to talk about, ladies. Let's talk outside. Luna, keep your eye on our guest. GLaDOS sighed, knowing she couldn't obtain a hair sample from the pillow with Luna watching. Can you believe her? Twilight protested. She killed all those people and claims an act of self-defense was murder. Rainbow Dash agreed. Yeah, and she lied to us and almost hurt Twilight. We're Applejack's family. The said Earth Pony spoke up among her friends' rantings. No, she wasn't. In fact, she actually liked my family. You saw the flashback, the Pegasus pointed out. She was going to trick you guys into trusting her. You're so short-sighted, you know that? Applejack spat, taking an aggressive step towards Rainbow. Celestia stomped her hoof, silencing the ponies. Enough! All of you! Fuck. She turned her attention to the other 3 ponies, who barely said a word the whole time they were here. Well, girls, what do you think about our guest? Fluttershy began sweating bullets, rubbing her foreleg and glancing around the hallway. Well, I think she's a little scary. See? I told you, Rainbow said proudly. But the canary yellow mare pony continued. I think there's a little bit of kindness in every pony. You just have to dig deeper. Me too, Pinky announced, instantly breaking her awkwardness, her awkwardly silent demeanor. Besides, if I can make Cranky smile, glad he'll be a piece of cake. Oh, Pinky, you ish man laughing. Verity stepped forward, ruffling her mane while speaking. She's quite, she's quite possibly the most barbaric pony machine I've ever met, but I'll have to agree with Pinky and Fluttershy. Besides, you all saw how drab she was in her old world. Perhaps simply arriving here inflicted a change of heart. Twilight hung her head, ashamed at how right her friends were. Celestia craned her head down to be at eye level with her student. Twilight, she said softly, I taught you better than this. Don't you think we should at least give her a chance? The unicorn slowly nodded. I know what she did was wrong, but as the element of harmony, it's your duty to bring forth the kindness in any pony's heart. I expect you to do the same with GLaDOS, at least until I can find a way to bring her home. Twilight smiled meekly. Yes, Princess Celestia. She sounded uncertain, like it was a task she didn't want to complete. The princess noticed this and smiled reassuringly. Don't worry. I'll make sure she doesn't hurt any pony. Her faithful students managed a confident smile. You're right. All of you. Every pony deserves a second chance. And I'm sorry for acting so, you know. Celestia gently placed a hoof on Twilight's back. It's okay, Twilight. But there's just one last thing you need to know before leaving. Celestia, sorry, I tried to read ahead a little bit. Celestia pushed open her bedroom door to find Luna and GLaDOS engaged in a begrudging staring contest. Luna, Celestia asked, instantly grabbing her sister's attention. Come out here for a moment. I'm sure our friend won't cause any trouble. Would she? Would she? Bah. Luna looked at GLaDOS, then back at her sister. Are you sure that's a good idea? It'll be fine. Luna reluctantly walked out to the door, keeping a watchful eye on GLaDOS. Even as she closed the door, with Luna present, Celestia began. All right, girls. I don't want a word of what you saw today to leave this room. Is that clear? Luna groaned. Celestia, honestly, I'm not a fool. The ponies all nodded, and as Twilight said, Don't worry, Princess. We won't tell a soul. Isn't that right, Pinky? The Earth Pony looked as if she was accused of a false crime. What? Don't you girls trust me? We do, Pinky, Rarity said truthfully. It's just that you're known to, cause trouble and overreact. Luna stepped forward. I can vouch for that personally. She glared at Pinky, who let out a nervous giggle. Luna eclipsed. She nodded understandably, crossing a hoof over her chest and placing it over her left eye. Okie dokie. Not a single pony will know. Pinky promise. Twilight remembered the other reason why she was here. Opening her bag, she pulled out the weapon Sakura brought from the night before. Princess, a friend of mine stopped by last night and gave me this. What do you think we should do with it? Celestia took it in her own telekinetic grip, levitating it between herself and Luna. The two sisters examined it carefully, silently recalling the true purpose of the device from GLaDOS' memories. I think we can give it back to her. From what I saw, it doesn't seem like a tool that could cause any harm. In fact, I think it'd be rather beneficial for the whole town. The 6 ponies agreed with a single nod. Celestia lowered the device back into Twilight's bag, smiling warmly at her companions. I'm sure you'll all do just fine with helping our friend. Now run home, girls. You have some planning to do. Oh my gosh. This is 8,000 words, so it's about an hour. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, it's about right. Yeah. With the elements returning home and Luna forced to engage in her nightly duties, Princess Celestia decided to take GLaDOS for a walk through Candlelight Sculpture Garden and explain further plans. Uh, you want me to do what now? GLaDOS asked in disbelief, her hair being blown by the evening gales. I just want you to make friends, GLaDOS. Settle in. Help around town. Be polite. Nothing too complicated. Just until we find a way to get you home. There's an old house on the far side of Ponyville I'll give you for the time being. And what if I refuse to play nice? I can't force you to make friends, she said dryly. Please, just try and be nice. I know there's good in you, so why not show it? GLaDOS ignored that pitiful statement. She didn't even need to comment on how ridiculous it was. Besides, she found the statue of the three ponies piled up on one another to be a lot more peculiar. Celestia broke the fairly awkward silence. I just have one rule on which you must abide. Absolutely no harm is to come to any pony. If you do, I'll swear you never see the light of day again. Her voice was unnervingly stern. GLaDOS wasn't worried at all. She replied with a sarcastic, "Oh no, don't banish me to a nice and quiet place without a soul in sight. Anything but that." The pair turned around a corner, approaching a maze. Do you always talk to your superiors like that? Celestia asked, raising a brow. I don't know. They never lived long enough for me to find out, remember? The princess forced the grisly images of the human's demise out of her mind and asked, Why do you enjoy loneliness, GLaDOS? The question caught her by surprise for a brief moment, not knowing how to answer that. I just don't like your loyal subjects. The way they're always smiling and playing makes me want to gag. When I knew they all hated me, I felt like rejoicing. Seriously, I would have gone up and done the can-can dance. Unfortunately, I don't know how to dance, so that's out of the question. The princess sighed at the mare's insistent stubbornness. GLaDOS, would you hurt some pony if you give them the chance? Trust me, I would have filled this whole place with neurotoxin if given the chance. Celestia dismissed GLaDOS's farce words, positive she was just saying that to get her angry. The two stopped near a very peculiar statue, one of a strange being composed of many different creatures. His mouth unleashed a silent scream. GLaDOS rose a brow at the strange piece of art. Dr. Frankenstein called, she joked. He wants his monster back. Nice. The sun goddess shook her head, the pony's dull sense of humor beginning to wear thin. No, GLaDOS, this is the spirit of disharmony, discord. He broke out a few months ago, but Twilight and her friends were able to defeat him. It's quite the tale. No, really, Dr. Frankenstein called. I've got his number right here. GLaDOS spoke as if she was actually serious. Celestia's brow twitched in irritation. So where is the abomination now? He's right here. We encased him in stone, she said plainly. Wait, GLaDOS began, piecing two and two together. Instead of putting this freak out of his misery, you decided to turn him to stone, forcing him to watch the very creatures he swore to destroy until the end of time? Celestia nodded, pleasantly surprised the ponies had taken a liking to her subject's noble deeds. I believe that is a reasonable punishment. He's a horrible monster, one of the worst in history, but... She took a pause, releasing a pained sigh. But no one deserves murder, even the most evil of monsters. How'd she get elected princess? GLaDOS shook her head, barely suppressing a grin. And they call me a monster. You know, you're not that bad. Entry 1. Do you know why humans invented the typewriter and computer? It's not because no one liked to write. It's messy, difficult, time-consuming. Or it's because no one liked to write. It's messy, difficult, time-consuming, and the end result look trashed. And the end result looks like trash. And try writing with hooves, even if they are magical. I'm still getting used to how abnormal this whole idea is. Further study shall be conducted with a dissected hoof. Now why am I writing this? I'm not even sure, to be honest. I guess it's just a way to feel more at home, considering I wrote a report every day. So I'm sitting here in my new home in Ponyville. I hate that name. In fact, everyone's name here sounds like a candy or a crayon color. Seriously, Pinkie Pie, Bon Bon, Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash sounds like a high calorie energy drink. And isn't Applejack a cereal? Oh well, none of that matters now. I'm trapped here, and there's nothing I can do about it. At least not until the high and mighty tyrants get me home. High and mighty tyrant gets me home. Then I'll revert Wheatley to scrap and resume testing. I'll probably delete this whole experience from my hard drive. When I arrived home, the Ponies had left several gifts on my bed. Most of them just books on the history of this third world country. Not exactly what I'd call a good read, but it'll give me something to do. They'd also given me the ASHPD. Whoopee, I guess it'll come in handy. But I don't see what the point is. The point of it is, from what I can decipher on the abandoned alt universe projects, they were meant to be used as gateways to new testing areas. In other worlds, perhaps. But here, maybe for like a companion cube, but not portal testing. But hey, trying to keep on the bright side of things. First, I also left a pamphlet titled "Animal Consumption: Why It's Wrong and Why You Should Stop." Interesting. It seems being an omnivore is frowned upon in this society, and herbivores are the norm. Dear God, what's wrong with me? I must be really bored if I consider the diets of these miserable creatures to be interesting. I guess I'll have to work with that. I guess I'll have to work with what I have. There's always something to test, even in a backwater shanty town like this. GLaDOS. Page break. Author's note. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, there's your long chapter. On a side note, because I know a lot of people are going to ask me, yes, GLaDOS turning into a projector was supposed to be silly. Well, that was a lot longer than I thought it would be. Okay. This has been chapter 4, I believe, of My Little GLaDOS, Tyrants, Slavers, and Other Proud Equestrians by Obelisk of Death. 2 down, 3 to go. Next up is My Little Mommies, Battle Octavia University Days, and Of Steam, Gears, and Wings. In that order. I'll leave Vinyl and Octavia to the last because I enjoy that one the most. Nice, simple one to wind down with, don't you think? Oh well, this has been Nightlife here once again, giving you my again, boosh! Why are my cheeks and forelegs and feet and hands tingling slightly with pins and needles? I suppose it's because of talking so much has made me slightly oxygen deprived. Oh well. Nightlife out. Boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom chicka boom 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 boom. Bon Bon X Lyra.